like my worries need to fit my schedule now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
welcome back to the Thread the Needle podcast. I'm
Yes,
here with
sir.
my good friend Temi Coker.
yes, sir.
Amazing artist,
Thank you.
husband, father,
Yeah.
new father.
New father.
New-ish. It's
Yeah,
been,
new-ish is like 2 months. He's 9 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of time. You're pretty much an expert at this point.
Yeah, to some extent.
I feel like once you get started, you're pretty much an expert already.
Yeah, you have no choice. Your
Yeah.
body just adjusts to like the sleep schedule, the body pains, the back
Yeah.
pains, all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
So
You feel like you're trading like your years for his?
yeah, I feel 55.
Yeah.
You know, my back started hurting when I was 30, and now I just feel like it's gone up exponentially.
Yeah.
So
It's just amplified.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would love to dig into like your story a little bit. Eventually I want to talk about this new season, new chapter,
Yeah.
and fatherhood and what
Yeah.
that's doing for your creative process and
Right.
things like that. But I guess first, like maybe take a couple minutes and give us a little bit of background story.
Yeah, so my name is Temi Coker, Temi Lalua Coker. My name means God is mine. I'm from Nigeria. I came to America 2004. Before that, I lived in Canada for a year, 2003 to 2004. I don't really tell people about it because I barely remember everything. I lived in Calgary, Alberta. Moved to Texas 2004 and have been here ever since. My dad's a pastor, so that's the reason why we got moved down here to start a new church. And yeah, I play keys. I've been playing keys at pretty much all the churches my dad started since I was like maybe 8 or 9. And I still love music. Music came before photography, before design, and all of that. So when I graduated high school and it was time for me to go to college, I wanted to study music. And my dad was like, nope. It's like, we didn't come from Nigeria to America for you to go study music. Like, you can do that on your free time.
Yeah.
And I at first I was mad, but as I got older, I get it. It's like my parents, all they knew was doctor, lawyer, nurse, accountant, all of that. Even my dad being a pastor, like he still studied engineering. My mom was still studying being a nurse and things like that. So,
It's tough to picture that as like a career.
Right.
Yeah.
And I ended up picking like biomedical engineering. Why?
Nice.
I don't know. I just know that.
Just something easy.
Yeah, right. I think the reason I picked it was because I liked the idea of like robotic arms. But now that I look back, it wasn't even just the robotic arms, but it was the idea of helping other people like, get back something they felt they lost.
Yeah.
Find themselves again. And so went to the University of Houston and studied there with biomedical engineering. And then like I went to college 2010. I graduated high school 2010. I went to college 2010 fall. And 2011, I remember it so vividly, December. I was like, I can't do this. I was like, what am I learning in this science class? Science, I wasn't doing great in that class. And it's like, wait, I'm doing this stuff to make other people happy. Like, what about my joy? What about me picking the path for my life? Because I'm over here having like breakdowns at night, studying late, and my parents are asleep. I just think about them like the people that wanted me to go do this, they're sleeping, and I'm doing this, but I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I prayed about it, and I was like, God, I know you're calling me to do something better, bigger. I don't know what it is. And I remember this was around the time the iPhone 3GS was out. People were like, oh, Tim, you have an eye. I didn't know what that meant. And, my friend in December was like, hey, I work at Best Buy. I believe it was Best Buy. He was like, I work at this store, and I can give you a discount to get a camera. So I had like 360 in the bank, and the camera was like 350. And so I got the camera, and I remember going back home just taking pictures of everything.
Yeah.
I still have the albums on my Facebook. Like, that's how
Nice.
excited I was. And took pictures of some of my friends. Even I had a friend come with me to the house that fall to like talk to my parents. My friend Ayo and Sola, they came with me to talk to my parents about switching my major. That didn't go well. So yeah, I came back that December and I was like, I can't do this, Dad, you know, and got in an argument. He wasn't really understanding or listening. And so when I went back to school, I just switched my major. Switched it to digital media, and that had photography, graphic design, all of these things. And yeah, and from then on, it was like, I remember that first semester in 2012, I had like a 3.6, 3.7 GPA. And I remember like some people were like, well, you just took easy classes. Like, no, I took classes I was really interested in and like gifted in.
For sure.
And so, yeah, my curiosity with photography grew and with design, and graduated in 2014. Went back to my old high school to teach photography and design because I wanted the kids to know that it was possible to have that as a career. Even though that wasn't my career at the time, it was something that I aspired to have. I always knew I wanted to work for myself. I just didn't know when it would be, but I knew I had to like pay my dues and be patient and just work on my craft. So,
you were starting to like sharpen those tools and
exactly
kind of like prepare the way for you to build a career from it.
Exactly. And I'm thankful for those years of like having to work full time as a teacher. And then I got into a thing called the Adobe Creative Residency for a year, 2018 to 2019. And pretty much I got paid every month. I didn't have to worry about work. I just got to worry about like growing in my craft, you know. And to me, that 1 year, I feel like I grew 5 years. You know, it was just amazing. I wake up in the morning, I want to learn how to do this. I do it. Boom, it's out there. I'm coming up with ideas. I'm learning. I'm watching tutorials and things like that. So yeah.
So do you feel like there was a big shift before that, or was it mostly when you came out of the creative residency that your career really kind of blossomed at that point? And
I really think it was after the residency, or even during the residency. You know, I kept getting like emails from Google, some from Apple, some from Adobe. You know, I think what was great about the residency was that Adobe pretty much gave me like their resources. Like, I was sitting down with people that were developing Photoshop on the iPad before Photoshop on the iPad ever came out. You know, I was talking with the people that were in charge of like developing Illustrator and making it better, and meeting them one-on-one. They're flying me out from Dallas to San Francisco, and we're meeting, and I'm telling them the problems I'm having, the problems I had as a teacher, you know. And I was even able to bring one of the students to be one of the I forget what to call it. It was like the first 30 people to have access to the Photoshop on the iPad. And I got to pick one student, which was really fun.
Nice.
But yeah, honestly, it's like, I think I always knew that this would be like, I would be working for myself. I just didn't expect it to be at this extent. You know, I started with photography because I wanted to take pictures of friends, and I didn't have a lot of pictures growing up. And took a bunch of pictures of my friends in college, and then they were like, hey, I'm graduating. Can you take my picture? And then they're like, oh, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend. Can you take our picture? Oh, yeah, I'm getting married. Can you take our picture? We just had a kid. Can you take our, you know? And so it just kept developing. And by the time I graduated, I was known for graduation pictures, portraits. I had done a bunch of weddings already, video and pictures. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, now I just have to figure out how I can shoot 20, 30 weddings a year, and I can work for myself. And that was as far as my mind went. You know?
So you started with photography, and then I'm assuming like the graphic design piece of it kind of came along during school, like while you're studying those things. So then I guess how, and I don't know if there's like a specific direct answer to this, but you have such a unique style because it's a mashup of the photography side and the design side, and most people pick one or the other, I feel like. Or if they do have skills like in Photoshop or Illustrator. It's just to kind of touch up or edit what they shot.
Yeah.
But you're able to take the photography and lean heavy in the design and make something totally different and totally unique. So how do you feel like you found your kind of signature style?
Yeah, I mean, it was really from experimenting a lot. But honestly, people told me I couldn't do photography and design. Like I had to pick one, so I picked photography. The only time I did design was when I was like designing a wedding invitation or engagement or a graduation invitation. That was the extent of my design skills.
Yeah.
But I just remember it was 2016. One of my good friends, Mac DL, we used to work at a church together, and he came up. I mean, I came up to him because he started making posters, and I was like, "Yo, people told me I couldn't like merge photography and design, but I'm ready. I want to give it a try, you know." But I was scared because I was like, my Instagram feed was all wedding photography, portraits, stuff I was known for.
Yeah.
And I remember when I posted my first poster, it was like I didn't really get many likes, and so people were like, "Did you get hacked?" You know, type of thing. And I look back and I'm just thankful because there are people that stuck with me and saw the evolution, and there are people that left and then they came back and they're like, "Yo, you're actually pretty dope," you know. And I was like, "Thanks." But yeah, I got to a point in 2016. Me and Mac DL met at a Starbucks, and I said, "Hey, can you show me some like Photoshop stuff?" Like, and that's why sometimes I get scary calling myself a graphic designer, because there's like so many pockets of graphic design. There's like those that do merch. There are people that do albums. There are people that do like posters with typography, and there are people that like draw. You know,
branding, and
branding,
web design,
and web
like
design, UI,
stuff.
UX.
Yeah.
And so
It's pretty broad.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like I'm making shapes on portraits.
Yeah.
You know, which is really like, if you break down my work, that's literally what I'm doing. And the reason I've used shapes is because I don't really see myself like a drawer. I can't really draw. But I can draw shapes.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was able to, when I thought about graphic design, I was like, graphic design is really all about like shapes, composition, color, and these are some of the elements and things that I learned when I was doing photography. You know, I would play around with the composition, the shapes of the surroundings, and how it interacts with the subject. And so, literally, when it came time to like merge photography and design together, it felt natural. You know, and I'm so glad that I did it, because even when I applied for the Adobe residency, I applied to just do like photography.
Yeah.
And they were like, we saw that you've been like doing this a poster a day thing. You're merging photography and design. Can you repitch your project to us? I was like, wait, what? Okay. And they gave me like 2 days. So I repitched everything, started adding my posters in there. I was like, hey, I'll do posters for, I broke it into like 3 or 4 parts. I was like, I'll do posters for sports. I'll do some for fashion. I'll do some for music. And then I'll just do regular posters, because I wanted to hit the like 3 different industries. Yeah. You know, so yeah.
Nice. So, okay, I guess leading up to, you know, where you are today, before your son, where do you feel like you draw the inspiration from? Like when you have does an idea for like a specific project come to you, or is it kind of free flowing, like you kind of feel it as you're working on it?
Yeah, I think it's both, because sometimes I mean, I've pretty much learned to not be scared of a blank canvas. Because I was always scared, like, okay, I shouldn't open up Photoshop till I have an idea, you know. And honestly, I've just realized like it's okay to have a blank canvas, and you know, as you start working and designing, like all of this stuff can start coming together slowly. And that's been fun, because I've been able to, like, I call them happy mistakes. Like yesterday I was making the Simone Biles, I was making a poster in celebration of Simone Biles in the Olympic gold medal championship. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And there was like a shape that I made, and I was like, hey, let me see what this would look like if I drop it in. And I dropped it in, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. And And, you know, just those little things. And people sometimes look at my work and think like, oh, it was very meticulous.
Yeah.
And yes, I am. But there's sometimes where I'm like, I just start moving things around like Tetris, you know, and something fits. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, I will sometimes have the idea. And I think what has helped me a lot is my photography background. So now when I see portraits, I know the portraits that I want to work on because it moves me in some type of way.
Yeah. See, it's so fascinating to me though, because that's such a unique part of your creative process, because even saying that you like take shapes and move them around, and there is that moment where it clicks for you and like it fits. And you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. For me, I'm like, I wouldn't even know what I wanted. Like I wouldn't know if it fit to begin with, because I wouldn't have the vision for you know what it was going to be at the end, or what it could potentially be at the end, even if you can't see it you know finished from the beginning. But yeah, so that's really fascinating to me.
Yeah, and for me, like sometimes when I get projects like, oh, can you make a draft? And I'm like, I can't draw. So low key, my draft is like what it might end up looking like without the color treatments, you know. But
make it like a little bit worse on purpose.
Like
just like
literally,
this is the rough draft.
Yeah, I would do that. I'm like, this is the rough draft. Like, oh, we really like these shapes and blah blah. I'm like, okay. I remember I was working on something for Adobe, and they were like, can you send a rough draft? And I literally made what it would look like. And I made it black and white. And I just sent it to them like, oh my gosh, this is really nice, because I want them to focus on the shapes and not the colors. And so when they approved it, I just pretty much took the black and white filter off, and then changed some colors, cleaned it up even more. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is nice, we love the colors. And I was like,
that's awesome.
That's great.
That's great. So before having a son, if you found yourself stuck in a rut creatively, or like challenged by a specific product, what did you draw from like for inspiration, or to get you out of a rut? I know you have a newsletter, the Creative Block, where you talk about this a little bit. And so, when you find yourself in those moments before having a son, I guess, what was it that pulled you out of it? And then we can kind of use that to transition into now. Has that changed? Yeah,
I think for me it was just taking a break, if I could, from just like designing or consuming so much on social. Now, like I would watch TV. I would be on YouTube sometimes. I think what has helped me recently was like, I forget where I heard this from, but they were like, if you're in a rut, go watch a video of another creative person in a different industry. And so for me, that was interior design. And I don't know what it was. Like, I just the YouTube channel is called Never Too Small. And it's like, these people have small spaces and they pretty much figure out how to like make it work for them. And I thought that was so fascinating. Like the amount of storage they use, the amount of like just wisdom in how they select the different things. And so for me, that was like my guilty pleasure. And so my brain wasn't thinking, I was just like enjoying it. And I was relaxed, you know, and it would be just moments of that. And of course, my newsletter has been a way for me to just like vent. But what I've loved about it is that I realized that I'm not alone. And I think other people do too, because they see me in my career and they think like, oh, he doesn't have those worries. He's always good. And I'm like,
no off days.
No off days, no anxiety, no fear. Everything he drops is amazing. And I'm like, you know, even you knew about my jacket and how nervous I was. Like, am I gonna be able to see? I think you were like, you can sell more than 5, Temi. You know, and I was like, I don't know if I can sell 5. You know, and then it sold out.
And it sold out twice.
And, I'm
twice. Pretty sure.
But like, it was just it was really interesting getting people's feedback. And the reason I called it Creative Block was because at the time when I made it, I was in a rut. And I was like, you know, I want to reframe this whole idea of like Creative Block to be a space where we can all like meet and discuss and be vulnerable and be open and honest about our fears, what we're experiencing, our creative journey, and things like that.
Now enter Fatherhood.
Yes.
This summer.
Oh my gosh.
So how much have you seen change mentally for you, like creatively, in terms of when you need to find rest or find that, creativity, like the refresh, the whole, like, even your working process, like your workflow, how much of that has changed?
A lot. And I'm still like learning, because I'm realizing there's going to be different stages where I have to like reframe what this looks like working. And I think these are some of the things I'm learning of, like, it's okay to slow down.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think the biggest thing is that I am not always a big fan of change. Like, and you know this, with us doing ads and like figuring out marketing and stuff. And I'm like, Matt, why are things changing? I don't like this, but I'm learning to just like roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And when my wife was pregnant, one of the phrases that I kept telling her, we both agreed that this is what I should keep saying to her as she prepares to have the baby. Even at the hospital, it was, you can do hard things. And I wrote about it in my newsletter, because I think that's something I'm learning now. Is like, wow, I'm a dad. Like I was so nervous. I was like, am I gonna be able to just keep this boy alive?
Yeah.
I wasn't sleeping well. I was always like worried. My anxiety was out of this world. It still is sometimes. But I've just learned to like roll with the punches and realize that I can do hard things and not be so hard on myself. And like, even yesterday, making the poster while wearing the baby carrier, like
I saw that.
I wore that for 3 hours. My back was cooked. It was done. You know what I'm saying? But I look back and I'm like, because now when Josiah arrived, that's his name, Josiah. When he, with the Z, respect his name.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. When he was born, I felt this like urge to document more.
Yeah.
So I got me a camera. We already had cameras. We have the Sony A7R3 and Sony A1, but I got a Sony FX3 to record video. And because I kind of want to get back into video. I used to do it in college when I was shooting weddings and stuff. And it's been a lot of fun just recording and looking back at videos of him.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that. I think I have like the youngest picture I have of me is probably when I was like five months. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I looked like when I was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so being able to kind of like document life. And even yesterday, I look back, even now, I'm like, I carried this boy on me while I was designing, while I was recording myself, while I was editing the recording. I don't think I would have been doing this if it wasn't there, or at least be this driven.
For sure.
People have always talked about like, oh, when you have a kid, there's this drive. And I'm not going to lie to you. I sometimes rolled my eyes. I was like, okay, drive, cool. Like, and when he was born, there was a drive, but it wasn't like what people had explained. But now that he's like 2 months, I don't know what it is. Something clicked. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to make this freelance career work, like regardless of the economy. And I started to have this like understanding of how God sees me in the way he cares for me. My Josiah would pee on me and I would be like annoyed for like 0.5 seconds, and then I'm cleaning myself and he's smiling. I'm smiling at him like, oh, it's okay, buddy. You know, and then clean him up and carry him like nothing happened. Yeah. And also like seeing how he's looking at the world and all just little things. He's looking at flowers and he's like, what is that? And just how he has no care in the world. And I'm like, I got you. It don't matter even if this freelance doesn't work and I have to go to a 9-to-5, I will do it for you. Yeah. And I'm like, how much more God, the way he's like looking at me and my wife and our family, and I'm realizing like I'm not really the provider. God is using me as a vessel. And so it's a reminder of like the way I'm like trying to make sure my son is good, like God is doing the same for me. And I have to really believe and trust in that. And
for sure.
I forget that a lot, but every morning when I see him, as tired as I am, once I carry him and he does this little like scrunch, you know, and I'm like, I got you, buddy.
Yeah.
Those little moments, I'm like reminded, like, you know, I think my anxiety makes me forget that that's what God is doing for me, because things have always worked out.
Yeah.
You know, it might be at the last minute, but God's timing is the best.
Yeah.
And so these are all the things I'm like learning, and I've thought about, like, okay, what if I do a small series that explains the things I'm learning as a new creative dad in this world. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really good, because it's like there's so many different layers. You know, I feel like the responsibility probably helps provide a little more structure.
Yeah.
And even like the fear that you may have had beforehand of like, I don't even know how I can do this, like with a kid.
Yeah.
But then you do it and you're like, oh, that's how.
Yeah,
like,
that's how you like
figure it out afterwards.
Yeah. You know, when people,
Like, I just did
when
it.
people have always said, like, your body just adjusts. Like,
Yeah.
it really does.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think, like, I've had nights where I slept for like 2 hours before the baby.
Mm-hmm.
But now I would sleep 2 hours and I have no choice.
Yeah.
You know, but to just run and gun.
Yeah.
But now, of course, we're getting longer hours now, 6-7 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
That he sleeps overnight. But yeah, and now I realize how important my time is, and I have
Yeah.
to structure it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, okay, do I really want to spend this time with this person? You know, or people have tried to meet with me, you know, like before 12, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
After 12, we can. If you can't meet me after 12, then we have to figure out another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just learning structure, learning communication with my wife, and, you know, just trying to be a good husband and father, and making sure that she is taken care of as well. And if it means that I have to, you know, hold the baby for 5 hours so she can like nap and just be herself, like,
Yeah.
you know, I've learned to be able to sacrifice. If she can carry a baby for 9 months, I can do these things.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, you know, as your friend and as a fan of your work, you know, your art. It's been cool to see, because I was curious, like, what was that mesh going to look like of,
Yeah.
you know, juggling the responsibility, the schedule, even like a year ago, you probably would have said like, 2 hours of sleep, I'm dead. I'm not working the next day.
Yep.
The next 2 days,
Yep.
I'm not working.
Yep.
And now it's like, 2 hours is great. Like,
Yeah,
that's not
2
that
hours,
bad.
hey, I've had worse.
Yeah,
You know?
like, I could work with that.
Yeah.
So it does, like, I'm not a parent, so, you know, I don't have the experience to back this up.
Yeah.
But it looks like almost a reconnecting with like the natural order of things, and just the nature of, you figure it out, you survive, you know, make it work, you find a way, you kind of connect with your instinct, because like, who would you even ask? Like, is there a book that's written to tell you how to be a photographer, designer, video editor, and father at the same time?
No.
So,
and
yeah.
it's like I didn't think it was possible. I've seen people do it, but it's one thing to watch someone, but it's another thing to like experience it.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone is different. Every baby is different, and you know, my son likes to lay on our chest. So like, if he's sleeping, I put him down. Oh, he's up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I tell me and my wife have this thing at the house. We call it, I call it the one hand ministry. You know, like I'm carrying him and I have no choice. If I'm designing with one hand.
Yeah.
If I'm getting his bottle, I'm getting his bottle with one hand.
Yeah.
And I've learned to just like be a master at that.
Yeah.
You know, and those are skills that I didn't think I would need to learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. And even sitting down and like worrying a lot, like my worries need to fit my schedule now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's
Yeah.
not enough time to.
Yeah.
Oh man,
To schedule
like,
time for that.
yeah, I have to schedule. It's probably like 5 minutes, and I'm
Yeah.
like, because I just realized like worrying does not add anything. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, I just have to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, you know, with me moving to putting my designs on physical items, I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna reach out. I'm gonna make these mock-ups, and we'll make it do what it do versus sitting down like, oh, when is the next gig coming?
Yeah,
I have to start trying to I don't want to say make the opportunities for myself, but I want to say being faithful and be prepared in this season for anything that could come in.
Yeah, for sure. Being more proactive.
Yeah, proactive.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah. Well, any parting thoughts? Anything you want to share with the people?
Check out my newsletter. I think a lot of you guys will really
definitely
enjoy some of the topics. I talk about like imposter syndrome. I talk about being able to do hard things. I talk about, finding inspiration, so many things. And I think it's important to have community and people that you can walk through life with, in different seasons. I think when some people have kids, a lot of friendships like dissolve, and I'm thankful for you guys. You guys are still here. But yeah, and we've been able to see people step up and just love on us and being helpful in this season, and I'm grateful for it. So get yourself a community of people, a circle of people that you trust, you can lean on. And I think, when it comes to creativity and being a graphic designer or photographer, or even videographer, I think it's important to create the type of work you want to be hired for.
Yeah.
Be proactive, like you said, versus just like sitting down. And that's something I've always believed in. And, some of the best projects I've worked on have been from they were referencing things I made back in 2016, 2018.
Yeah.
And those times when I was making those stuff, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just having fun. And you just never know who's watching. You just got to keep doing what you're doing.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yes,
we'll link all your stuff in the description.
For sure.
Check out his newsletter, follow him on Instagram, check out all of his work, link his shop, go buy yourself a poster.
Yes.
Or a jacket if there's any left. Probably not.
Yeah, but
sorry.
I have some stuff coming out this fall. I'm working on the jacket, the bucket hat, pillowcase. I really want to get into home decor, so we'll see how that works.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we're gonna link all that stuff. Make sure you don't miss it. And bro, thanks for your time. Thanks for jumping on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Give us a like, leave a review, share it with a friend.
Yes.
Make sure to check out Temi's stuff, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Peace.